2025 is here, and that means I have the updated best controller settings for you to laser players with your aim, full piece them with your builds and edits, and win games, whether that's in pubs, getting to Unreal, or even in tournaments. And I'm gonna hit every setting to make sure you understand how they work so you can adjust them to your preference. But first, with 2025 now here, whatever goals you have in Fortnite or in real life will be so much easier with Raycon's everyday earbuds. They're quickly sponsoring this part of the video to show off their latest model, which have a 32-hour battery life, can connect to 2 devices at once, and cost just half the price as the other brands. Personally, I need active noise cancellation whenever I'm at the gym or traveling, and these have exactly that. Using awareness mode, which lets me hear everything around me, or active noise cancellation mode, which blocks out all the outside noise so I can focus on what I'm doing, which is the main reason I use these. It's also nice that if you forget to charge them, you can throw them on a wireless charger or plug them in for 10 minutes and you get 90 minutes of battery life, which is the perfect amount of time for a solid workout or study session. These fit my ears perfectly, so they're my go-to, and you can pick up a pair for yourself or someone else as a gift by going to buyraycon.com/Carter2K to get 15% off store-wide. That's 15% off at buyraycon.com/Carter2K. So thanks to Raycon, and now we'll start in this first tab of video settings, which I actually play with my controller connected to PC. So that means I can use performance mode on 240 FPS, but the settings in this video will work for every single platform, whether you're playing on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, or of course PC. For my graphics settings, I turn my brightness to 125% and everything else is just default. I don't use anything fancy like colorblind or anything like that. On my performance mode settings, I just set everything to off or low. Over to the audio tab, the only setting that actually really matters over here is visualize sound effects turned on, and then sound quality I keep on high, and 3D headphones I keep off. We can just skip over the communications tab because this is all just personal preference like voice chat stuff. One over from there is the game tab, and this is probably one of the most important tabs. Everyone just wants to get to the sensitivities right away, but this is actually super important stuff. So these movement settings are pretty self-explanatory. Down to combat, I have hold to swap pickup turned on. Toggle targeting, definitely have that turned off. That's really bad. I have auto pickup weapons turned off, but this is only because I actually have a scroll wheel on my controller. This is a special like pro controller from Scuff. So if you don't have a Scuff Envision, I actually recommend for controller players to turn auto pickup weapons on. It basically just helps you get weapons faster over mouse and keyboard players that have scroll wheels. Preferred item slots is going to be completely personal preference, but I do always recommend to have a shotgun in your first slot. It's hard to actually use this now because there's so many different modes with so many different types of loadouts. So like if I'm playing normal battle royale like I did when I was getting to Unreal, this is the loadout that I'd run pretty much every single game. But obviously if you're playing OG or Reload, that starts to change, so you can kind of navigate that however you want to. Then we get down to building, which building tab got really interesting lately. So personally, I like to disable pre-edit on controller. I never feel the need to use it, and honestly it messes me up way more than it helps me. Turbo building obviously on. Auto confirm edits, set this to bold. There used to be a myth that if you'd use this you'd be slower at editing, but that is just not true. Some of the best even mouse and keyboard players in the world use this, like Peterbot, Clicks, Booga. And the reason people are using it is simple. It's because all you have to do to edit is click your edit button, click your select button, which is the right trigger, let go of the trigger, and it auto confirms it for you. So once you get used to it, it simply makes editing easier and faster. But if you're a player that's not very good at editing, like you're really slow with your edits and you mess them up a ton, simple edit is legitimately good. You can turn on simple edit, turn on tap to simple edit. And if you're just a pub player that likes to get some wins every once in a while and doesn't like to grind the game, this setting is literally made for you, and it's really good. It obviously takes some time to get used to, but once you do get used to it, it's legitimately fast. And one of the biggest advantages with simple edit is it catches players off guard. Say I'm box fighting someone, even if I edit really quickly, they can still see me go into edit mode, do the 3 edits, and that prepares them to take a shot when I open it up. But if you compare that to simple edit, where I just have my gun out, I click one button and I can instantly open and shoot. If someone was on the other side of this wall, they'd literally never be able to react fast enough to see me do that. And that's why you can get legitimately good with simple edit. Obviously, if you're already good at editing, then of course you don't need simple edit. But for the players that don't have the time to grind like these sweats do every single day, then yeah, simple edit can actually be good. Now the rest of this game tab is just a bunch of extra settings. You can kind of do whatever you want with these. Although personally, I think the energy saving mode is really annoying, and if you want to make sure to get the highest performance possible out of your console or PC, turning all of your replays off can actually help with that. But personally, I like to see my replays sometimes, so I just leave this top one on and turn these 3 others off. Over one from there is the game UI, and this this top tab is going to be all personal preference. So like damage numbers, I like mine on list. My reticle feedback is on hit only. My damage number scale are all the way up. My HUD scale is pretty low. I only do this because I have my face cam and hand cam right here. Otherwise, I would actually have this all the way up at like 85%. Being able to see your mats and see your weapons clearly while you're playing is actually super underrated. It's super important. And then the rest of these settings all down here, just don't even touch them. Just leave them all on default. Then we get to the gyro settings, the touch and motion tab, which is terrible. Only use this if you play on Nintendo Switch with the default Nintendo Switch controller. Otherwise, gyro aiming is not good, so make sure to turn this off. Then we get to mouse and keyboard, and the controller sensitivity tab. Over here, I prefer controller auto run turned off. But quick tip, while you're running, pull out your map, let go of your stick, and then let go of your map, and then you can still auto run like this, even with auto run turned off. So even though I have auto run turned off, I can still easily auto run whenever I need to. Now, edit hold time shouldn't matter because you should have one button set to your edit bind. So down here, edit button, this should be the one button you click that should only edit your build. This button right here under the building tab called switch mode / edit hold, you should just click the red X on this, and that's the only way the edit hold time will actually matter. So this doesn't matter whether I have it all the way up or all the way down because I don't actually use edit hold time. Slide hold time I keep between like 0.5 and like 0.1, just anywhere in here works. It's basically the same. Reset camera access and reset camera time, these only apply if you're using gyro aim. I don't even know why they're not just in this tab anyway, but regardless, these don't matter what you have them set to if you have gyro aiming turned off. And vibrations, if you want to have the best aim possible, then make sure to turn vibrations off. It's not a huge deal, but especially when going for those long range shots, that little buzz of the controller can throw off your sticks a little bit. Down below, that is quick weapon, which I also recommend just turning off. It's a cool concept, but I still think just switching weapons like this with your bumpers is the fastest possible way. And to make sure you have quick weapon turned off, just turn this to custom only, come over here to your binds, go down to general, and in this tab, scroll down until you see quick weapon, and then just click the red X on this. Now, of course, make sure this use advanced options is turned on. That's gonna black out these two sensitivities up top, which is perfect. And now we move into the sensitivities, starting with the build multiplier and edit multiplier, which I keep both of these at 2.0. Now, somehow people still don't understand that these are only multipliers. So this is gonna get nerdy for a second, but stick with me here. My look sense is 43% on both horizontal and vertical with no boost whatsoever. I don't like boost. But what happens with these two sensitivities for your build and edit actually also depends on what this sensitivity is. So right now, my build and edit sensitivity is exactly double my look sense. If I start spinning right now and then pull out my builds, this is exactly double the speed as this. That means that technically right now, both my build and edit sense are 86% because it's exactly double this. So you can watch me build and edit here and you can see how used to the sensitivity I actually am. But just to quickly prove my point, I'm gonna turn these both down to 1.0. But I'm gonna turn my look sense up to exactly double 43%, so 86%. So now obviously my look sense is way faster, but my build and edit sense are exactly the same. Even though my build and edit sense only say 1, I'm still super used to the sensitivity because it's the exact same sensitivity. And the reason that I'm making sure you guys all understand this is because know that if you do change your look sense, if you change these sensitivities and you don't touch these, your build and edit sense will still change. Now with that being said, if you find this look or build and edit sense too fast, I'd change it down to as low as like 37% and as high as 45%. I wouldn't go any higher or lower than that, and on this I'd go as low as 1.8 and as high as 2.2, and I wouldn't go any higher or lower than those. Of course, my favorite sensitivity is right there in the middle. Now again, there's no boost on those, but we get to the ADS sense, which is 7% horizontal, 8% vertical, and 0% boost. And I've actually been using all of these exact sensitivities for over a year, and regardless of what season it is, it helps me beam players. And even my scope speed multiplier is just 1.0. It's still just this exact thing. I don't change this at all because this sense is so good. Now, once again, if you're going to change this sense, I wouldn't go any lower than 5%, and I wouldn't go any higher than 12%. Of course, my favorite is right there in the middle of those two, but that's the highest and lowest I'd go. Now, below that is look damage time of 0 seconds, look input curve of linear. These settings that I'm showing you will only work on linear input curve. If you're gonna switch to exponential, you gotta completely change these settings. These ones will not work. But I think linear is way better anyway. It's way easier to get good on linear, I think. As for aim assist, obviously we want aim assist all the way up. In dead zones, unless you have major stick drift, I keep all of my dead zones at 10%. And I highly suggest that to find the specific exact sensitivity that you like within the ranges that I've shown, search this map code mode, come into this map and then free build around until you're comfortable. If you think that any of the settings are too fast or too slow, adjust them a little bit, come in here again, free build around, take like 10 minutes, see if you like them. If you don't, adjust them again and do the same thing until you find a sense that you really like. It's very important to be comfortable on the sensitivity because this is the sense that you should not switch off of this entire year. All of 2025, you should stay on the same exact settings to get really good and build really good muscle memory. And that's the exact reason I built this map. So you can come in here every day, you can put on custom different backgrounds, you can turn on custom crosshairs, you can turn on custom music stations, and you can even change your speed to really figure out your crosshair placement. So for stuff like quad edits, you can really figure out exactly where you need your crosshair to be. Doing this stuff for 20 to 30 minutes a day will help you out so much and make you so much better, faster than you could probably imagine. And an even easier way to find this map is to just search Carter 2K and then favorite it so you'll never lose it. Below that are just some other random settings, and then we get to the binds, which once again, I have a custom Scuff Pro controller which has like 6 different paddles on it. I have 2 side buttons, I have 4 back paddles. So the binds that I use are likely not going to work for you unless you have this specific controller. But I do have plenty of other videos on the best binds for every single type of player. So if you do need some new binds, then just search Carter 2K binds on YouTube and you'll find a bunch of my videos on binds. So those are what I think are the best controller settings of 2025. Make sure to subscribe if these help you out, and thank you so much for watching.